Hi guys, welcome to the Shift Handover, episode 3. Hope you're all keeping well. Hope you've enjoyed what we've put out there for you guys so far. For anyone who's commented and saying nice things about us, thank you. For anyone who's commented saying negative things about us, you hurt our feelings, but thank you anyway.
I like
Hurt
that.
my feeling. Mark's made of stone. Mark's made of stone.
Yeah, I'm just reading them carefully.
Yeah. He's just there.
I'm digesting it.
Yeah. These security company owners, you know what they're like.
So today we're going to talk about one-man doors, something which is very contentious and something that a lot of you have probably done, are currently doing, or will get asked to do in the future. So where do we want to start with this one then, mate?
Well,
have you done one-man doors?
Yeah, I worked for this guy once who really didn't care about my health or welfare, and he stuck me on a one-man door. Yes, I have done one-man doors, and no, Mark.
He sounds like a right twat.
Yeah, Mark did a very good job of looking after me. And one thing I will always credit when I worked for Mark, for you, and talking about you in the third person, even though you sat right next to me, is that you would go out of your way to come over and meet and say hello and check in on me. You were aware that I was working a one-man door outside of the town centre. And I think the owner gave you some food, which probably helped. But more often than not, actually, it turned into both of us working together, and
Pretty much.
turned into a laugh, to be honest,
spent
did
a couple of hours
it? Yeah, but I have worked one-man doors, not just for you. I've worked quite a few one-man doors, and I think it's easy for us as idealists to say you should never work a one-man door. It's too dangerous. Say no, but we also need to be realistic. We also need to know that people need to earn money. We also need to know that licensees will request one-man doors if they think that's all they need is one doorman. And there will be times when people watching this podcast will get asked to do a one-man door for the first time. It's a little bit nerve-wracking that first time. You know, you're on your own, buck stops with you kind of thing. It's a very different job. I would say working a one-man door is everything you put into, well, not everything, but a lot of stuff that you put into practice working a bigger venue, out the window. You know, you're very much that concierge type. If you're working a one-man door, you're more often than not got a pool of locals, regulars. They feel like it's their venue too, which is a positive in some ways, can be a negative, can be a positive, depending on the clientele you got. But when you were putting those poor guys who you didn't really have any care about on a one-man door, what, from an employer's point of view, what were you expecting?
So firstly, I don't agree with one-man doors. So contrary to, yes, we did do it, but it's not something I suggest, and it would always be a last resort. I did always have this thing, though. If I ever did a one-man door, or I was asked to work a one-man door myself, which I did, I always made it very clear to the licensee, and bearing in mind, predominantly, I know we're talking about where you work, but predominantly it would be like the fast food takeaways and things like that. I always used to say, and I would say to this day, if you as a licensee, the client, want a one-man door, you need to understand that in the event of a situation, they are not there to deal with physical evictions. They're there to prevent, be proactive, and they will try and de-escalate. But I would never criticise anyone who works on a one-man door that doesn't jump in on a fight or a serious conflict, aggressive incident, because I know full well that there's only the limitations what they can do.
Yeah.
So, as I say, I wouldn't recommend it, and anyone who is doing a one-man door wouldn't recommend it. But you are absolutely right, Dan. That's an idealistic world,
Yeah.
and things happen. Or it might be the case that you have a team but the licensee wants someone just from 4 till 6 until the rest of the team turn up. So you will find yourself in that situation. But if you are, no, I'm not going to do it, kudos to you, respect to that, absolutely. But if you do decide that you're going to do that one-man door, then just be very clear with your security provider and the licensee what your expectations are, managing the expectation, because you can't deal with everything on your own. And the danger to you, the threat to you is significant. You imagine that, you restrain someone, you hold them, and someone whacks you over the head with a glass or something. Just having that pair of eyes, second pair of eyes is so important. It doesn't have to be physical. Just having that second person to watch your back as a witness as well.
And that's the other side. You are so vulnerable, because
very vulnerable.
If you're ejecting someone from the venue, they've got their friend. You're working a one-man door. Those witnesses are not independent.
No.
Those witnesses are
definitely not.
Doesn't matter why. It doesn't matter how justified you were. Those witness statements are not going in your favour.
No, definitely not.
So, and that's another thing to be very, very aware of. One thing I do want, and a message I want to get out there is, if you're ever put in a position where you're asked to do a one-man door and you don't want to, it is not a sign of cowardice to tell your employer no. It doesn't show any negativity on your character whatsoever. Let other people have their own opinions. We accept that there is a culture in security of having to be macho, not wanting to seem to be weak. I would hate to think that there are people doing one-man doors who feel really uncomfortable, who wish they weren't there, but are too scared to say no because they are being coerced into it, or they're worried about it damaging their reputation. Because ultimately you are responsible for your own safety. Those people who may laugh at you for refusing a job for being too dangerous are not going to be there paying your bills when you can't work for 6 months.
Absolutely. Very true.
Have you ever had anyone actually refuse a one-man door when you were
lots of people. Yeah, loads of people.
I should have done that.
No, lots of people that were said, and in fairness, I would only, you would only ask certain people anyway. You had to think, for me to even suggest to someone to work a one-man door, I'd have to have a feeling that they had something about them where they could, navigate their way around that role. Like you're good at communicating. Hands-on is not your first approach. You've got to have someone who can communicate well, and even then, it doesn't mean that you're going to resolve everything, because again, if you've got a pub or a bar and you've got a group of guys come up, just having that second person is a big thing. When they know you're on your own, that's giving them, they think they're 10 men all of a sudden. This guy's on his own. What are you going to do about it?
Not much.
And they've got a valid point. Or you either get that, I would say, look, there's actually nothing I can do about it. Mm. But ultimately, what's going to happen here is, whilst you force your way in, we have a little tussle, or we don't, you force you in, the police get called, within 5 minutes they're here, you're only going to get evicted, you're on town camera, you're going to get knocked back, probably barred from every other pub. Is it really worth it? So you got to try and reason with them. But
and you've got to be able to still present an element of strength. If it's not physical,
absolutely,
you've still got to control people's respect in a different way.
Yeah.
I've worked a lot of one-man doors, actually, whether that be my team's venue, but I'm doing a Thursday night on my own, or a Sunday night on my own, or a football match on my own, or as you said, being the first one on who does the 8 till 10 till the other guys turn up. I've been in that position quite a lot, and I think what I would suggest to people who are doing a one-man door for the first time is know your venue.
Yeah.
It's so important. Who are the regulars in your venue? Who are the people to look out for in your venue? Who are the regulars to, that if you speak to them in a certain way could help you? If not physically, be a witness for you.
Absolutely.
Manage the venue. You're not controlling anyone on your own. You're managing them. If you're getting people out at the end of the night when the lights come on, You're not getting them out if they don't want to go, but you're managing them, and your surroundings as well. And if you're ever working on a one-man door, any venue really, but one-man door takes this to another level, and the licensee is saying to you, if there's a problem next door, don't go and support them. You need to really challenge your licensee there, because actually when you're on a one-man door, your team, if there is a venue next door to you, your team becomes the guys who work next door. So when I was in that position, if there was an incident next door and there was a couple of doormen there, I was helping out, one, because it's the community responsibility and it's the right thing to do, but also I'm going to need them a lot more than they need me. and you're building that, you can almost work the two venues. Your licensee will hate it.
Yeah.
Oh, why am I paying for their security? They don't see the flip side to that. And you do, when you're working a one-man door, you do need to set the expectations of your licensee at times as well.
Yeah, and you talk about liability and insurance stuff. There are some insurance providers that will not insure a one-man door, so it is worth checking, because from a liability point of view, your company provide the cover, which is essential, but also a lot of self-employed subcontractor operatives now have their own liability insurance, but one-man doors, they're very unlikely to manage to support. They will cover one-man security stations because it's very different. Yeah, you've got different supporting equipment. You're not dealing with drunk people. You're dealing with assets. You're dealing with monitoring alarms and things like that. It's a very different role. We all know that one person confronted with an aggressive group is very likely to escalate into some kind of fight or assault. So, it's worth checking. But the message that I would want to get across is that if you're asked to do it, and you don't want to do it, don't do it. Simple. Yeah. Don't be coerced into it. Don't be pressured into it. If you're doing it because you need the money, which is understandable, then just make sure you know the parameters and make sure the licensee knows the boundaries to which you'll go to. You're not there to drag people out on your own. It's a very, very dangerous place to be.
And we've joked about this in the past, but if I'm being completely honest, you were a very ethical employer. You did care about your employees. That's not the case for every company or employer out there. I have heard stories of people going on a one-man door when they've only had their badge a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It happens. And there'll be people, some of you guys be watching this, you'd have only just getting into the industry, or you would have been new into the industry, and you're being asked to provide security on your own somewhere. And you got so many questions. Any questions you have, feel free to put them in the comment section. Myself or Mark will take our time to answer them as best we can. Because any advice that we could give in this situation, the situation needs to have context around it. Because every situation is different. Every venue is different.
Very much so.
Location of your venue. It's so important to know your venue when you're doing a one-man door, or get to know it as quickly as you can, because you need to keep yourself safe, and you need to keep the people who work there safe.
Well, it's interesting you say about being considerate and caring about the one-man doors. It's true. I was never a fan of it, but as you know, there were times when we had no choice. But you are right. I would make sure that I came and visited, and sometimes I'd end up staying there for 2-3 hours.
It's so annoying.
Yeah, because if you have any decency about you, and you've got someone out there on their own, you're thinking about it anyway. You're thinking, guys, he or she, they're out there on their own. You want to go and visit them. Yeah. And I did. I remember as soon as I finished wherever I was, I'd come down, and sometimes I'd still be there at 3 o'clock in the morning, wouldn't I? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No, all joking aside, it was good. They were good times, actually. We
had some fun times, didn't we?
Oh, we did.
Yeah, we had some fun times.
And we were working in a venue that wasn't in the town centre as well, so it was very much a locals community, isn't it?
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about a time when we made someone famous?
Yeah, we had a looky-likey. Well, it wasn't an official looky-likey night. It was a pretend looky-likey night, wasn't it? I think it all started because the licensee, I think I started telling customers guess it away, but he was Danny DeVito. Do you remember? They were coming in, and we was like, "Have you met? Who is this?" Well, you must know him from the movies. What? Danny DeVito.
Most people coming into the industry probably don't even know Danny DeVito.
No, that's true. And then, yeah, this lady come in, didn't she, with her friends, and we created. I can't remember what the name was, mate.
I can't remember the name either.
We created a name for her, and we said this was a star.
Harley? Something Harley?
Might have been.
Anyway, yeah.
What was it, Love Island or Big Brother or something?
We said she was some celebrity, and she loved it.
She loved it.
She was in on it.
People were taking photos. She was just a local from the area.
The licensee gave her free drinks and
put
her all over his venue's Facebook page.
Loved it. But do you know what? It just shows you how fickle society is now. That without even knowing who they are,
I know,
you can create a fake celebrity. Even I hate the word sorry, but a fake celebrity, and without even knowing, can I get a photo? Can I get a photo?
Yeah. Oh, it was so funny.
It was fun.
It was hilarious. And that's I can be damning and critical of one-man venues, one-man doors, but actually, those stories tend to come from the smaller venues.
Yeah.
The two-man, one-man doors.
Absolutely. Because
you're very much on the outside of the venue, engaging with the community. The music's on in the background indoors. Because you don't have colleagues to bounce off. You do build relationships, especially if you're there for a long period of time. If it's your permanent venue, for example, you build relationships with the locals.
Yeah.
You start having that rapport with them. So you do become a better doorman working at a one-man venue. I think that's what I will say.
Yeah, there is that.
That your communications, because what you can do, stand there and talk to yourself. You know, where I think if you work in a team, big teams especially, say for example you've got two on the door, couple inside, one person outside managing a queue, you tend to just talk to each other.
Yes, that is true.
But when you work in a one-man door, to stop yourself from getting bored, you start communicating with the locals and the regulars, and or it's either that or have a long night.
Yeah, and often they'll initiate the conversations about on your own, mate. You know, and they'll start the conversation. You actually start talking about being there on your own, and if they're decent and they're nice people, they say, "Do you want a drink?" and they'll start looking out for you a bit more, won't they? So
and you'll find that people like to remember the negative, don't they? So we can work any shift, we could talk about any night, and we can talk about that one idiot that ruined our night. What we won't remember are the 10 people that actually were nice to us.
Yeah,
and I think holding on to that, especially working in the context of a one-man door, you become part of that community, especially if you've been there a little while.
Absolutely.
If I was to go back to the venues where I worked, one-man door, two-man doors, even now, I'm not talking about the ones necessarily in the town centre. One, because I didn't do much work in the town centre, but two, they're bigger venues, the names change and stuff. But the community venues, the venues on the outskirts that are smaller, I could probably walk in there this Saturday and know one or two people.
Yeah, absolutely.
They may not like me.
Probably not, mate. Not many people liked you.
That's true.
Joking.
Until I started working one-man doors, and then I realised I had to get people to like me, or I was in a lot of trouble.
That's true. Yeah, that's true.
So I think one-man doors, I would love to sit here and say to you guys, don't do it. This shouldn't happen. Let's start a petition to stop one-man. But you need to be realistic. They are going to happen. If you're looking for a career in this industry, even if it is just doing that first hour on your own before your teammates arrive, you're going to be stuck in situations on your own. And actually, those skills are transferable, because you do a toilet check, and all of a sudden there's 3 blokes in there.
Yeah.
And you've got 10, 15 seconds before your colleagues arrive. Those skills that you'd have picked up working a one-man door could potentially save your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, if you are doing a one-man door, you speak to unless you're doing it independently, you speak to the company you work for, and you just say to them, say, what backup have I got? What backup is there? There are some providers that will send, will have an ops vehicle which will be out there that can come and assist you very, very short notice.
Yeah.
And you need to have that. I mean, there's been a one-man door, in the town centre or local in a suburban area, and there's been a one-man door in the New Forest somewhere, where there's no support for 20 miles. You can imagine the difference. At least you've got support somewhere. So that's the key. But yeah, if you like doing them and you have the ability to do it, as long as you go to all lengths to keep yourself safe, then who are we to say don't do it? But
and if it's the license, if you're a security company and you need to keep a contract,
absolutely,
and you were to go to that licensee and say, sorry mate, we don't do one-man doors, well, that's fine, your competition will.
Well, this is it. There's always someone that will do it.
We're trying to create and project a positive image around security, but what you need to remember, this is a business, and people will make decisions based on financial motives. If they don't feel they need 2 doormen and their license doesn't dictate they only need 2 doormen, chances are they're going to go for a one-man door. If you're not going to work there, someone else will. Will you get a shift? That's down to that's down to you and your employer. If your company won't provide that service, their competition will. So the reality is they happen. And if not in part, like I said, an hour before your teammates arrive, you are likely to find yourself in a position where you're working on a door on your own. So it's really, really, really important that you feel comfortable in that situation, or at least as comfortable as you can be. Because you're working in a role where your safety is not guaranteed in any capacity, really.
Absolutely. So what about retail? Have you done retail security?
My a little bit.
Yeah.
When I was younger. Yeah, not long. Not for long. And actually I would say don't want to talk too much about things when things went wrong. But one of my most significant injuries I suffered was working retail. If you want to know, someone hit me over the head with their crutch.
Did they?
Thank God.
God. Wow.
Well, I mean,
where was this? Or
this is in Weymouth.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to name the shop.
Yeah.
Because it's a national chain and they've definitely got the financial ability to sue us.
Fair enough.
But I can't remember exactly how it happened, but I just think 2 lads outside the shop just started piling on each other.
Really?
And all I was doing was just trying to break up. And one of the lads' dad was there on crutches, some bandage around his leg, can't remember what. Next thing I know, thankfully I wasn't drastically hurt. But you're on your own in retail. You're on your and I think what you're coming up against in retail is very different to what you're coming up against in the door. So I say not all. Very few people on a Friday or Saturday night want to go out and commit a crime.
No.
They don't leave the house with that intention.
No.
When you're talking about shoplifters, you're talking quite often about people that are in a lot of pain, who have an addiction to feed. And I don't want to jump down that rabbit hole too much on this podcast because that's a separate issue. But these are people with an extra level of desperation, premeditation, which increases the risk to yourself.
Yep.
And I've heard people say that, and I think you said this as well, that retail security are advised to not stop anyone.
Absolutely.
I don't completely object to that, if I'm honest.
Yeah. Well, this is it. So most of them are told, to not intervene, and this is why you're having security officers now constantly, virally, videos going up of people going into Sainsbury's, Tesco's, and all these different places, emptying the shelves, walking out while the security stood there watching them. The average Joe public looks at that and goes, what a load of shit, what's he doing, what are they paying him for? But what this poor guy or girl doesn't understand, what they don't know about these people, is that is their brief. Their brief is not to get involved. And I'll tell you, when in or 99 or 2000, whenever it was, when Castle Point, the shopping centre, opened, I left the door security. I left a company called Frontline to be the security manager for Asda.
Oh, wow.
So it was actually a nice little job. It was all right. It was quite a lot of responsibility because you're there for the loss prevention of the shop, but you're also there for the loss prevention throughout the staff. So checkouts and if staff are on the take. But one of my biggest struggles with it, and the reason why I didn't stay with it, I was there for about 2 years, but it was ultimately the situation where the shoplifting. So they train you, they teach you on what to look for, how people shoplift. And they're very clever. They'll go in with trolleys and, they'll put expensive items in, then what they call it nesting. They'll put crisps over the top. So you look at it and you go, oh, nothing too much. But if you've watched them, there's 200 quid's worth or 300 quid's worth of booze in there. And the hardest thing in the job for me was when these people went to leave, I would have no reservations saying, excuse me, mate, are you going to pay for all that in there? Pay for what? And I would pull them over, grab the trolley and say, look, well, you either pay for it or you don't take it. They would put a bit of a tussle, but ultimately they knew their number was up and they'd leave it. I would take that immediately to the checkout, scan all the items, say, wow, there's £800 there. I've just saved £800, loss prevention £800. You could be doing that 3 or 4 times a day. Huge store. But ultimately what happened was the venue, or the general manager pulled me in one day, said, Mark, it's amazing the amount you're saving us, but don't put yourself on the front line for that. I don't want you to pull these trolleys in anymore. I said, but hold on, thousands and thousands of pounds are being saved because of my actions. And I had 2 security guards as well, and for the security team. Yeah. Don't do it anymore. Be a prevention. Be proactive. Now, because I'd come from the door, and I was still very young, and I had the ability to weigh someone up. They weren't a threat. I had just come from dealing with pubs and clubs. Drunk people getting leery. So these weren't a problem to me. Of course, they could have been, but they weren't. I assessed it. And it got so much. In the end, I went, look, I love this job, but I can't do it anymore. I can't just stand there and watch people walk out with all these items. And the line, he was very nice. He wasn't being horrible to me. It was just the company policy. He said, Mark, we've got X amount, hundreds of thousands of pound budget for loss prevention every year. He said, just don't worry about it. So I thought, this isn't for me. Now, someone will go in there now. It's a dream job, isn't it? We're getting paid for doing 8 to 10 hour shift, and you don't have to do anything. It doesn't suit me. It wouldn't suit you.
Yeah.
But for some people, they don't have anything to do apart from walk around.
I mean, 12 hours on your feet. But I'm not trying to minimalise the work that they do. What I'd be interested to hear, how old were you at the time?
27, 28. Something.
27. How old are you now, if you don't mind me asking?
50 now.
50. Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you're younger than that, mate. What's...
Still move fast.
What does 50-year-old Mark Smith think about 27-year-old Mark Smith's attitude to that?
Oh, good question.
Have I worded that right?
You have worded right. My attitude to that... Wow. My attitude to that is that I'd be grateful that that the manager has given me that opportunity to step back. So I'd be grateful to that. I still have my pride, my morals would still make it very difficult for me to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
But the difference is now, yes, I would look and go, I can choose my battles.
Yeah.
I don't think I couldn't do it again because I wouldn't be able to just stand there and let people do it all the time. Because I think that all the customers are just looking at me thinking, this guy's useless. Because they don't know the conversation. They don't know what I'm briefed
You're
to
in
do.
the public eye, yeah.
But no, I absolutely. And if I was a 65-year-old security guard who's, he's a former policeman and he's got into security and no problem at all. Don't tackle it. You're doing it just by being meeting and greeting. You're doing a good job.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to your inner. It's not in me. I've been in shops and I've seen shoplifting and I've confronted people and said, "What are you doing?" If they're bullying staff, I'll step in, and I walk away sometimes and think, "Fucking hell, should I have done that?" Yes, I should, but is it dangerous? Yes, it's very dangerous.
And I think what we've alluded to there's a difference between the act of shoplifting and the act of a behaviour that puts staff at risk.
Absolutely.
I
agree.
And what you said there is very powerful because security is such a wide-ranging industry.
Mm.
And I'm like you, I don't think I could step into the retail security game today. I can't stand up for 12 hours straight.
No.
But for like you, I've grown a lot since when I was doing it before, but that ego is still there. Seeing something that you should act and your heart is telling you to act and your gut is telling you to act. Would I be able to resist that urge and just let someone get out with some stock? I don't know. And I've got full respect to those people working in the retail industry who are doing it well. And I'm not trying to diminish that line of work at all.
No, they do a good job.
But that I have also seen people who do that tough job very, very poorly.
Exactly.
And standards. And I think the theme of this channel is going to be standards. There are some shops that do a very, really, really good job, and they're doing the visible deterrent stuff really well.
Yeah.
You're not going to stop everyone.
No.
But they are there. They're a presence.
Yeah.
They command that respect. Even by smiling at you and saying thank you, have a good day as you're leaving with your shopping.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely. It's a big thing.
They're aware. I'm not shoplifting. Well, at least you don't know I am. I'm not shoplifting, but as I'm walking out with my stuff, the security guard's acknowledging me as I'm leaving. So I know he's aware.
Absolutely.
Other than
exactly that. Exactly that.
Now we don't know. That security guard could be answering a work email from his boss.
Could be.
It's an awful look, isn't it?
It's awful.
It's an awful look.
It's awful.
It's an awful look.
It's awful look. When I was managing Frontline, I think text messaging it was sort of like mid-90s, late 90s, it really started to take off. And there's no camera messenger, but text messaging. And I remember we carried out like a little survey of all the licensees and said, what are your 5 pet hates for door security? So basically things that we didn't want our door security to do. And it was the things were, mate, being on their mobile phone was the biggest thing every time. Chewing gum, hands in pockets, leaning against door frames, smoking on the job. They were the 5 biggest things. Not one provider, a licensee, and we had a lot at the time that we interviewed, not one said the way they evict people, the way they restrain someone, the way they clear out at the end of the night. They were the 5 biggest things. And it just shows to prove to you that first impressions count. You are the first impression of that pub, club, shop, whatever it is. And whenever I see security leaning with their hands in their pockets, on their phones, I know they're not on their game. and not on their game. So yeah, it's a terrible look, mate. You're right.
I think most people, especially seasoned people, that are working one-man doors, they don't deliberately let their standards drop. I think it's complacency.
Yeah.
It could be tiredness. They could be doing
Tiredness.
back-to-back work. Most people working a door are working it as a second job.
Absolutely.
It doesn't excuse it, by the way. I'm just trying
No,
to play devil's
but it is
advocate a
true.
little bit. Do I stand up straight and am I on my game if I've done 12 hours today and I'm still here on the it's and again that there's a question there about, I think we spoke about this one in the previous episodes, of what I need to make sure I've napped earlier that day, stuff like that.
Yeah.
But
It is tough. It is tough.
I think one-man door, this stuff is more important. Retail, this stuff is more important, because actually you will stop incidences from happening without you even realising, if you project that you are on the ball.
100%.
If a shoplifter is walking, let's use Castle Point as an example, because there's 12 shops there you can walk across. If they look at the security guard and they see the security guard looks aware, is talking to people, has a presence about him, and I don't mean physical, but has a presence where they may not try that shop, but they might try the next shop where the security guard's on his phone, or I don't know, doing something to just not projecting the same level of professionalism and standards. And if you take the similar principles to your one-man door in a nightclub or licensed premises, these are the principles that can actually keep you safe and you don't even know it.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, look, people that are doing bad, people that are more premeditated. So if you're talking about shoplifters, drug dealers, they watch, they scout, they'll do reconnaissance missions. It sounds all very James Bond, but it's not. They'll come along, they'll see.
They'll communicate to each other as well.
They'll walk through the scanner and see if you respond to the bleep bleep bleep. If you don't respond to the bleep bleep bleep, then okay, we're going to try that again, and we're going to get our mates to it. They do their homework. They're not stupid.
No, these are seasoned criminals. This is their job for some of them.
And that's it, and they do it very well. So you got to be aware. You got to be on your A game, and it's very and you are right though. We talk about this, and there is always real life, and real life is, you're working 2 jobs, sometimes 3 jobs. You got mouths to feed at home. You're doing hours you shouldn't really be doing. Everyone can, it's all we were saying. Well, we should do 48 hours a week, and we should sleep 8 hours a night. Yeah, great if you can.
Pay me £25 an hour, and I will.
This is it. Yeah, it's great if you can do it, but reality isn't that. So yes, we do get tired. But yeah, it is. It is tough. Retail's tough. One-man doors, very tough. We are talking about it because we just want to bring an awareness to it.
Yeah.
And give tips and good practice where we can.
Yeah, and one-man doors, retail, even site work where you're working on your own, where you may think there's no danger because all you're doing is opening and closing a gate. Or you never know.
Absolutely.
You never know. Yes, the chances of you coming to harm is massively reduced on those places, but it doesn't mean that it's impossible for you to come to harm in work in those jobs.
Yeah.
So your standards and what you project, the version of yourself you project to people.
Yeah.
We use the nightclubs because it's just the easiest examples to pick up on. You'll walk past venues, 1-man door, 2-man door, even bigger venues, and you know which doormen are on it, know how many people,
Absolutely.
You know which doormen are communicating with the public. You also know which ones are, mate, if I'm going to go drug deal somewhere, I'm going there.
Absolutely.
These people do their reconnaissance too.
Of course.
And there will be times not just one man door, but bigger venues as well, where your own personal ethics around things like drug dealing conflict that with the licensees. And I'd love to turn around and say to all you guys that every licensee I've ever met with is by the book and has a tough policy on drugs. They may say it. In reality, the minority, so please don't think I'm, demonizing the culture. It is the minority. But there are licensees out there that do enable and empower drug dealing in their venues.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
never change.
It's okay for that reason or for any other reason for you to say, don't want to work there. I don't want my name attached to that place. Because this is the stuff that follows you. When you're working at a venue that gets closed down because it's too rough and people know Mark was the doorman there, 18 months later, Mark could have done a fantastic job while he was working there. 18 months later, Mark's at another venue. Oh, mate, did you work at so-and-so that got closed down because it was an absolute shithole? Oh, you must be awful. You need to be beyond reproach in so many ways, especially in this community, because the same faces pop up over and over and over again.
Don't sell your soul for the devil. That's what I always say. Just because someone's offered you some extra hours or some extra, some extra money, don't do the stuff that's going to taint your reputation in your industry. Again, it's very easy to do. Turning a blind eye is not an excuse. It all sounds very textbook, I know, but we have learned, as you know, through experience, that your reputation does, it catches up with you. You can't do all this really bad stuff and allow it to happen and not have it affect you in future years.
Yeah.
So, we don't live in a perfect world. We know that. We know things happen. But if you find yourself in a position where, drug dealing and drugs and all that shit is going on, then you just got to distance yourself from it. Simple.
And I'll tell you what would be interesting to see in the comment section as well is that between our 50 years of joint experience, my maths isn't my strong point, but I would say between us there's probably 800 shifts on the door.
Oh,
at least.
Probably more than that.
Probably more than that between us. There will be someone in the comment section who remembers you or I from at any point in our career where we had a bad night. And we are human. We have good nights, we have bad nights, we have good shifts, bad shifts, make mistakes. And there'll be someone in the comment section that don't listen to Dan, don't listen to Mark, because I remember at this time in 2010, he did X, Y, Z. No one is going in that comment section and saying, oh, I remember that guy from that venue. He was awesome. He really helped me out and got me home safe.
Well, let's see if they do.
Well, let's see. Let's see.
Be good if they do, isn't it?
Be good. Yeah, it would be good. It would be
good.
I'd share that all over the place.
I'd like to think so after all these years. I'd like to think someone's got some good stuff to say.
I'd like to hope so. And if you're open to bribes, let us know. I'm joking. I'm joking. But yeah, no, have you got anything else? Maybe one-man doors? I mean, in terms of keeping yourself safe?
You just got to, it's like driving, isn't it? If you're driving and you obviously never drive without an MOT or insurance, but if you find yourself driving without these things, you drive defensively, don't you?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're so worried about, you don't speed, you're very mindful of who's pulling out. And I think with the one-man door, same thing. Just think about everything you say and you do. Is it going to lead on? Is it going to trigger escalation? Always think about de-escalation, conflict management, conflict resolution, and be proactive. Just be proactive with everything. You can afford to be not so defensive when you've got 4 or 5 guys stood behind you. You can be a little bit more bold and brazen. But when you're on your own, you got to think self-preservation. Because at the end of the day, you touched on it earlier, we all want to go home at the end of the night.
Yeah.
We want to have a nice shift. We clock off. We go home.
Yeah.
We don't want to be in a hospital or in a police station or going home bruised, covered in blood. So
yeah, and that is the from this channel, that's the biggest takeaway, I think.
Yeah,
and that is the ultimate goal of this channel, because we work in a dangerous environment. We do a dangerous job within that dangerous environment to keep people safe. It's so important that you do keep yourself safe. And when you're working in a one-man door, your communication skills is your biggest asset, and so is your standards. Because the moment the regulars in that venue see a glitch in your standards, all of a sudden, that whole friendship group are trying their luck with you.
Absolutely.
I don't know about you, but one of the biggest tricks, maybe this is just a personal thing, maybe it's in my own head, I don't know, eye contact. The importance of eye contact.
Yeah, massively.
You hold someone's attention so much better when you can maintain eye contact with them.
100%.
And they say body language is 75% of communication. Then I can't remember the rest of it. It's tone and the choice of words, isn't it? People who have done the SIA course recently, please tell us. I should know that, shouldn't I?
I think the actual spoken word is something like 30%.
Okay.
And then the rest is tone and body language.
Yeah, he's the instructor.
Yeah.
So he should know.
It's incredible, really, isn't
it? But what I found, what I reflected on that is that actually eye contact is not
powerful, very powerful,
and it's not mentioned.
No,
because body language is such a big thing.
Yeah.
But actually, I think eye contact is something that's completely different to body language, and you can have a completely different body language. You can maintain someone's eye contact, and it's so much more difficult to do when you're working inside a busy venue with an internal rotation. You're stood on a position because you got the music around you blaring.
Yeah.
So to actually get a message across to someone, you almost need to go into their ear. So you don't have that opportunity to keep someone's eye contact.
Yeah.
But when you're on those one-man doors, when you're working outside, when you're managing a queue, eye contact is a very, very powerful tool in your arsenal.
Nice one.
It's been good, isn't it?
I think it's been a good chat, a good conversation. Really interesting to know what people think about it.
Yeah.
And we wrap this one up.
Was Mark cruel to stick me on a one-man door and leave me to my own devices?
Or was Mark very, very good to go down at the end of the night and spend 3 hours stood with him on that one-man door?
Yeah, he did. He did, to be fair. It was never annoying. Ever annoying.
We had a laugh, didn't we?
We did, actually, yeah.
We were the lucky ones, mate. We got away with it.
Yeah, me and the licensee had more of a laugh after you left.
Sure you did.
Cheers, guys. Please stay safe out there. And any feedback you've got about the show, any comments you'd like us to address? I'm not editing that out.
It's raw.
I'm not editing that out.
No, keep it in.
Any subjects you'd like us to address, please stick it in the comment section or reach out to us. Like, share, subscribe. If you're irritated by our faces, then clearly we're doing our jobs right. Take care.